Welcome back to The Deep Dive, where we give you the context to instantly get up to speed on fascinating topics.
Always good to be diving in.
Today, we are looking at someone truly, unique, a real force, Juliette Lewis.
Absolutely. And it's more than just profiling an actress, isn't it? It's really about understanding this trajectory.
Yeah, trajectory defined by, I guess, volatility, fierce authenticity, and just, wow, incredible versatility.
Across 3 distinct careers, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
You've got the Oscar-nominated film star in the 90s.
Right.
Then the full-on rock star phase in the 2000s. And now this really acclaimed resurgence in prestige television.
Exactly. So that's our deep dive mission today. We want to trace that whole arc, from her very unconventional start, that early emancipation.
Which is a story in itself.
Right through to where she is now with shows like Yellowjackets. We need to understand how she created that niche for herself, playing those offbeat characters, often in films with dark plots.
And how her own story, her personal life, informed all of that. It's definitely not your standard Hollywood narrative.
Not even close. It's a study in reinvention, maybe.
Yeah.
And just sheer creative will.
I think so. And to really get it, you have to see how incredibly fast and intense her initial rise was. It started way earlier than most people probably realize.
Okay, so let's get into that. Section 1, the dramatic rise. People think 90s cinema, but she was already working professionally on TV at, 14?
That's right. Her first significant screen appearance was actually in a TV film back in 1987 called Home Fires.
Okay.
And even then, as a total newcomer, she caught the eye of critics. The Los Angeles Times review said she lights up the screen, high praise right out of the gate.
Wow.
And then she immediately landed a main role on an ABC sitcom, Bob Married Dora, playing Kate Farrell. That ran for a season 87 to 88. So she was building serious TV credits really young.
But the thing that always stands out from that early period is the emancipation. At 14, that sounds intense.
It does, and it's a really key piece of understanding her drive, I think. So yeah, age 14, legally emancipated from her parents.
Now, usually you hear that and think, oh, troubled family situation, right?
Exactly. But in her case, she's always been clear. It was done with her parents' full support. It was a purely practical, professional decision.
Practical. How so? What does being an emancipated minor actually let you do as a young actor?
Well, it basically boils down to work hours and regulations. She explained that producers just preferred seeing emancipated minor on a resume.
Oh, okay.
It meant she wasn't bound by the stricter child labor laws concerning how many hours she could work on set, schooling requirements, things like that. She could work longer days like the adult.
So it's about maximizing her availability, her employability.
Pretty much. It showed this incredible level of commitment to her career, this professional independence before she could even legally drive. That focus is, well, it's something else.
It really sets a different tone than the chaotic energy she'd become famous for portraying later on. So from TV, she moves into film pretty quickly.
Yeah, small parts at first, like a minor role in My Stepmother is an Alien in '88.
Right.
But her first big supporting role, the one people definitely remember, came just a year later, Audrey Griswold.
In National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, 1989.
Exactly. A holiday classic. She was only 15, but sources say she knew even then, this is a big deal. She sensed it would stick around.
And then came a role that kind of foreshadowed the darker stuff, didn't it? And it involved a pretty significant personal connection, too.
You're thinking of the Lifetime movie Too Young to Die from 1990?
Yeah, with Brad Pitt.
Right. They co-starred and then famously dated for about 4 years after that. In the film, she played Amanda, this really troubled teenager involved in prostitution, drugs, ultimately accused of murder.
So that's heavy material for Lifetime, especially back then.
It was, and it was really the first time critics widely recognized her talent for that kind of intense, edgy material. The LA Times, again, praised her authentic portrayal of this young, abused character. She was already showing that ability to go to those dark places believably.
But then came the explosion. The role that just catapulted her onto the international stage. Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear, 1991.
That was it, the seismic shift, a huge, highly anticipated remake, and she had to really fight for that role.
And Danielle Beauden, the daughter targeted by De Niro's Max Cady, terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And she apparently beat out something like 500 other actresses for that part.
500, wow.
Yeah, and the payoff was immediate. Oscar nomination, Golden Globe nomination, Best Supporting Actress for both, at such a young age.
The critics must have gone wild.
They did. Vincent Canby at the New York Times called her a new young actress of stunning possibilities. But it wasn't just about her being good, it was about what she brought to the film's dynamic.
How?
Well, The Hollywood Reporter pointed out that she provided the strongest real counterbalance to De Niro's crazy caddy. Her performance, that mix of innocence, confusion, fear, and then that slow, unsettling kind of seduction by Caddy.
That infamous scene in the school theater.
Exactly. It's still incredibly powerful. It requires this amazing balancing act, and she just nailed it.
How did she talk about working with Scorsese on something so intense, so defining?
She described it in really profound terms, like being anointed, getting her creative wings. She said it changed me and gave me a confidence. And she was clear it wasn't about the awards, the outside accolades, as she put it. It was about that feeling of being taken seriously, being nurtured by a master.
And that confidence clearly fueled what came next. Which brings us right into Section 2. The quintessential 90s edgy icon.
Yeah, having arrived with Cape Fear, she didn't shy away. She leaned right into those dark, volatile, complex roles. It really cemented her reputation.
That Lewis volatility became her signature almost.
Pretty much. And she jumped straight into more high-profile, challenging stuff. Woody Allen's Husbands and Wives in '92.
Right, playing Rain, the college student who catches Woody Allen's character's eye.
Ugh.
Described as Lolita-esque.
Yeah, the Washington Post called her performance sumptuous. She had this ability to be both alluring and unsettling at the same time.
Then she reunited with Brad Pitt for California in 1993.
A really dark neo-noir thriller. She played Adele, the sort of childlike, almost vacant girlfriend of Pitt's serial killer character.
And that performance got some incredible praise, didn't it? Roger Ebert especially.
He did. Ebert called it one of the most harrowing and convincing performances I've ever seen, which is huge praise from him.
What made it so harrowing, do you think?
I think it was the sheer authenticity she brought. She didn't play Adele as just, dumb or evil. There was this tragic emptiness, this vulnerability under the surface. You saw how she was manipulated. It felt disturbingly real, not like a caricature.
But then in that same year, 1993, she completely flips the script.
Right. What's eating Gilbert Grape? Playing Becky.
The free spirit who kind of blows into town and offers this glimmer of hope, this connection for Leonardo DiCaprio's and Johnny Depp's characters.
Exactly. She's the light in that film, the potential for escape from that suffocating small-town life. It showed she had this incredible range already. She could go from Adele's terrifying darkness to Becky's sort of vibrant optimism and be completely believable in both.
Which makes what came next even more impactful, I guess.
Yeah.
The role that truly cemented the edgy icon image, but also came with, well, consequences.
You mean Mallory Knox?
Natural Born Killers,
Yeah.
1994, Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Playing one half of that murderous couple on a cross-country killing spree, an incredibly intense, stylized performance. She won the Best Actress Award at the Venice Film Festival for it.
But the film itself, massively controversial.
Hugely controversial. It got slammed for its extreme violence, and perhaps more damagingly, it was linked in the media to actual copycat crimes. That created a huge public backlash.
So the role brought acclaim, but also serious baggage.
Right, definitely. Lewis herself later admitted that playing someone with that level of volatility and repulsive behavior actually hurt her career for a while.
How so? Did it lead to typecasting?
Pretty much. The industry seemed to pigeonhole her as just volatile or dangerous. While critics like Rolling Stone praised her performance, they called it sensational, saying she found the wildcat and the bruised child in Mallory. The cultural fallout made it harder for her to get cast in more conventional, maybe sympathetic leading roles afterwards.
So she leaned into more genre work.
Seems like it. She funneled that energy into some interesting projects. Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days in '95.
Sci-fi, right? She played a rock singer.
Yeah, Faith Justin. And she actually did her own singing on a couple of PJ Harvey covers written for the film, which kind of foreshadows her next career move, doesn't it?
Definitely. Strange Days didn't do well initially, did it?
No, it bombed at the box office, but it's become a real cult classic since then. Shows her early musical connection. Then she did The Basketball Diaries, also '95.
Playing a heroin addict. Another really raw, intense role based on Jim Carroll's memoir.
Exploring that theme of addiction and vulnerability again.
And then, for complete change of pace, From Dusk Till Dawn in 1996.
Yeah. Robert Rodriguez's vampire flick, where she plays Kate Fuller.
The preacher's daughter. The clean-living ingenue, as critics called her.
Exactly. Critics like Janet Maslin pointed out the irony, right? Here's the actress known for playing dangerous characters, now playing the picture of innocence. Trapped with vampires. It showed she could still access that lighter side, even if audiences half expected her to sprout fangs.
So rounding out the decade, she took on something she described as her toughest challenge yet.
The Other Sister, 1999. Playing Carla, a young woman with an intellectual disability fighting for her
She
independence.
said she was scared by that role, called it the hardest she'd ever had to play.
And you can see why. It requires incredible sensitivity and precision. And critics felt she delivered. The New York Times praised her enormous heart and sensitivity, and specifically her precise body language. They said you forgot you were watching a performance.
It really demonstrated that her intensity wasn't just about rage or chaos. It could be channeled into deep empathy.
Absolutely. And that versatility, that willingness to tackle such different challenges really set the stage for her next big move, the pivot into music.
Okay, section 3, the rock star pivot, around the early 2000s. But crucially, she didn't just drop acting, did she? She juggled both.
That's the amazing part. She maintained both at a high level. Even before the band fully launched, she was still getting strong notices for her film work.
Like what?
Well, in 2000, she was in The Way of the Gun, played a pregnant woman who gets kidnapped. The Austin Chronicle praised her performance for its rich veins of honesty and truth.
And she got TV recognition too, right? An Emmy nomination.
Yes, for the HBO film Hysterical Blindness in 2002, co-starring with Uma Thurman, she got nominations for both an Emmy and an Independent Spirit Award for that. She was also in the thriller Enough with Jennifer Lopez that year, so the acting career was still very much active.
But then 2003 hits, and she dives headfirst into music.
Full commitment, forms the rock band Juliette and the Licks, and notably, she brought in Patty Schemel, the former drummer from Hole, Courtney Love's band. That signaled serious intent.
This wasn't some actor's side project.
Not at all. They toured relentlessly, released their first EP, like a bolt of lightning, in 2004, and their first full album, You're Speaking My Language, in 2005.
What was the sound? Did that screen intensity translate to the stage?
Oh, definitely. The music was this raw, garage rock, tunk-influenced sound. Think Iggy Pop, early PJ Harvey maybe, and Lewis herself. As a frontwoman, she was explosive.
Physical.
Incredibly physical. All that energy, that volatility people saw on screen, she just unleashed it live. Kinetic, unpredictable, sometimes chaotic. It was a performance.
So the Mallory Knox energy found a new outlet.
Pretty much. And the critics, especially in the UK, really responded to it. They saw it as authentic and, frankly, exciting in a rock scene that maybe felt a bit safe at the time. The Guardian wrote she had this iconic presence that boringly boy-saturated rock needs.
Wow. High praise. They released a second album too, right?
Yep, 4 on the Floor in 2007, which meant more grueling tour schedules. It's a demanding lifestyle, fronting a serious rock band.
And her musical footprint spread beyond the band too.
Yeah, she popped up in interesting places. She did guest vocals on a track for the Prodigy's album Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned in 2004.
Oh, cool.
Appeared in music videos for Melissa Etheridge way back and for the band Him. And maybe most memorably for some, she voiced the DJ Juliette on the fictional radio station Radio Broker in Grand Theft Auto: The Fourth.
I remember that. That's brilliant.
Right. It showed her cultural reach was expanding into different areas.
But somehow, amidst all the touring and recording, she's still appearing in movies. And not just intense dramas anymore.
Exactly. She showed this surprisingly adept comedic side during this period, which maybe wasn't what people expected after the 90s.
Like Old School in 2003.
Totally. And Starsky and Hutch in 2004, big studio comedies. She played these kind of fun, slightly unhinged supporting characters really well.
And they liked her enough in Old School to bring her back for a cameo years later, right?
Yeah, she reprised her role as Heidi in Due Date in 2010. It showed that comedic timing was recognized.
Then there was Whip It in 2009, Drew Barrymore's directing debut.
Another great role for her. Playing Iron Maven, the aggressive rival roller derby captain, The Guardian nailed it, describing her performance as all grimy attitude and slinky rock chick insouciance. It perfectly blended her rock persona with a screen role.
So she's juggling music, comedy, drama. In 2009, she goes solo musically, too.
Yeah, released her first solo album, Terra Incognita, still touring, still creating music under her own name after the Licks went on hiatus.
And then closes out this incredibly busy decade with another acclaimed acting role.
Conviction, the 2010 film with Hilary Swank and Sam Rockwell. She played Rosanna Perry, a key witness in the murder case.
And she stole the show, apparently.
That's what the critics said. The Wall Street Journal literally called her a scene stealer. And she won the Boston Society of Film Critics Award for Best Supporting Actress for it.
So that whole decade, basically 2000 to 2010, proved she could sustain these two incredibly demanding careers simultaneously, rock star, and acclaimed actress.
It's pretty extraordinary when you lay it out like that. The discipline required is immense.
Which perfectly sets up her current chapter. Section 4. The television and prestige film resurgence, from 2011 onwards.
Right. This is where she starts really leveraging all that accumulated experience, the intensity, the discipline, the public persona, into these incredibly rich, complex roles, often dealing with the aftermath of trauma or difficult lives.
We see that focus early in this period with some key film roles. Hick in 2011.
Playing an alcoholic mother in 1980s Nebraska. A return to that darker, emotionally challenging territory, but perhaps with a new layer of maturity or weariness.
And then the big ensemble piece, August. Osage County in 2013.
Based on that massive Pulitzer Prize-winning play. A huge cast: Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts. Lewis played Karen, one of the dysfunctional sisters returning home.
The film got kind of mixed reviews, didn't it? Some found it maybe too theatrical or over the top.
It did, but Lewis consistently got singled out for praise. Critics felt she grounded her part of the story. Mick LaSalle at SFGate wrote that he felt her performance was maybe the only one that had a complete grasp of the material's proper tone.
That's interesting. She could handle the high drama but make it feel real.
Exactly, she has that ability.
Then came a role in 2014 that seemed almost tailor-made for her public image, playing with her past.
Ah, you mean Kelly and Cal, the riot girl turned suburban mom film.
Yeah, playing a former punk rocker who's now struggling with the monotony of being a housewife and new mother.
It's such a fascinating concept for her specifically, and the reviews really picked up on how well she navigated that.
What did they say?
The New York Times noted how she conveys the excruciating discomfort of being this former rebel stuck in a staid middle-class existence. They said her performance crackled with authenticity because, she had lived outside those conventional boundaries. The struggle felt earned.
That authenticity seems to be the key word as she transitions more heavily into television around this time, starting with Secrets and Lies.
Yeah, she starred in that ABC crime drama for 2 seasons, 2015 to 2016, played Detective Andrea Cornell.
How was that received? It felt like a more conventional role for her, maybe?
It was, and honestly, the reception was pretty mixed, especially for her character. Some critics found Detective Cornell a bit one-note or cliched. Neil Genslinger, again at the Times, called the character a cliché stretched beyond the point of believability.
So it maybe showed that she needs strong material to really shine. She can't just coast on her persona.
I think that's fair. Her unique energy works best when the writing gives her something complex to dig into, not just a standard procedural trope.
But she stayed busy in TV. Other roles around that time.
Definitely. She had a recurring part in the sci-fi series Wayward Pines in 2015, and then a guest role in The Act on Hulu in 2019.
Oh, The Act. The D.D. Blanchard story. That was incredibly well received.
It was. Very disturbing, very strong performances all around. Her presence added to that quality ensemble.
But the real game changer, the role that feels like a culmination of everything, has to be Yellowjackets.
Absolutely. Starting in 2021, playing the adult Natalie Scatorcio, one of the survivors of that plane crash, hearing decades of trauma, addiction, secrets.
The show was just an explosion. Huge critical acclaim, massive buzz, and Lewis was right at the center of it.
Her performance was universally praised. The Guardian called her sublime, highlighting how she captured the nuances of tentative empathy and glimmers of optimism within a deep chasm of grief. It felt like a role that perfectly synthesized her history of playing volatile, damaged characters, but demanded this incredible underlying vulnerability.
And it brought her back into the major awards conversation in a big way.
Yes. Her first Primetime Emmy nomination came for Yellowjackets, and then, almost immediately after, she got her second Emmy nomination.
For Welcome to Chippendales in 2022.
Right. Playing Denise Coughlin, the very direct, very capable costume designer who works with the Chippendales founder. Another fantastic scene-stealing performance. Richard Roper called her outstanding in that.
It's fascinating, this late career peak in terms of awards recognition, especially considering how she's talked about typecasting over the years.
It is. She admitted she worried about it, especially after Natural Born Killers. And she's been quite specific about Natalie in Yellowjackets, saying the character is nothing like myself, even if people see echoes of past roles, the toughness, the wrong side of the tracks vibe.
What's her take on why it took so long for this kind of recognition?
Well, she said something really telling. Like, it took 30 years for people to go, wow, she does unpredictable stuff and it's high quality. It's like the industry finally caught up with the complexity and the consistency she'd been delivering all along.
And just to confirm, the music didn't completely disappear during this TV resurgence.
No, she keeps that alive too. Released a solo EP called Future Deep in 2016. Her first new music in about 7 years at that point. The dual identity is clearly still important to her.
It all feels interconnected, doesn't it? The life, the acting, the music. Which brings us to the personal context, Section 5.
Yeah, understanding some of the personal background really helps connect the dots, I think, especially when you consider the intensity she brings to her work.
We have to acknowledge the challenges she faced early on, which perhaps informed some of those darker roles. The arrest at 16.
Right. In 1989, arrested for underage drinking, trying to get into a bar. A minor incident maybe, but indicative of that rebellious streak.
And she's spoken openly about more serious struggles later.
Yes, about a years-long addiction to cocaine and prescription drugs in her early adult years, largely during that intense 90s period. You can certainly see how processing that experience could fuel the raw, believable pain in roles like The Basketball Diaries or even The Abandon of Mallory Knox.
How about her personal relationships during that pivot phase? She was married for a time.
She married the pro skateboarder Steve Barra in September 1999. That timing is interesting, right as her film career was maybe less front and center, and she was gearing up for the music.
And they divorced just as the band was taking off.
Exactly. Divorced in April 2003, right around the time Juliette and the Licks was really forming and starting to tour.
Did she say much about the split?
She described it as amicable, but her reasoning ties back beautifully to that theme of professional focus we saw with the Emancipation. She basically said they were both workaholics, and she realized, I only actually have enough steam to focus on my own thing.
Wow. That's a very clear statement of artistic priority.
Isn't it? It underlines that sense of needing independence to pursue her creative path, whether it was acting or music.
Now, we also need to address her connection to Scientology, sticking strictly to impartial reporting of what's in the sources.
Right. So the record shows she was born into it. Her father, Jeffrey Lewis, was a Scientologist. She began practicing it herself in the 1990s.
And she publicly credited it with helping her overcome her addiction issues.
Yes, specifically Scientology's Narconon program. She framed it as a key part of her rehabilitation during that difficult period.
How does she talk about her affiliation publicly over the years?
Well, the public statements evolved. In 2010, she confirmed she was a Scientologist, but also identified as a Christian, explaining her understanding that you could practice both. She seemed to emphasize a personal, spiritual interpretation.
And she defended her right to choose her own beliefs.
In 2015, she spoke about protecting her freedom of religion, saying she kind of just rolls with people's misconceptions. She presented it as a matter of personal freedom.
But there was a shift more recently.
Yes. Around 2021, coinciding with her major TV success with Yellowjackets, she began to publicly distance herself from the label. In interviews with both the New York Times and the Washington Post, she stated that she considers herself a spiritualist and does not identify as a Scientologist anymore.
So a clear evolution in her public identification later in her career.
Exactly. It shows a separation, aligning with this current phase focused heavily on her acclaimed acting work.
And just briefly, her philanthropy often ties back to her passions too.
Yeah, a nice example is her support for Little Kids Rock, which funds music education in schools. She donated a custom-painted Fender guitar to help them raise money. It connects her music side with giving back.
So putting it all together, the personal challenges, the intense focus, the religious evolution, the dual careers, it paints a picture of someone whose art is deeply intertwined with a complex, unconventional life.
Absolutely. It wasn't about crafting a perfect Hollywood image. It was about channeling lived experience, the good, the bad, the intense into her work with remarkable discipline.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive. We've traced this incredible, multifaceted career. Juliette Lewis, Oscar nominee, Golden Globe nominee, two-time Primetime Emmy nominee, and legit rock star.
It's quite the resume. From that breakout teen role in Cape Fear to the critically adored, complex adult survivor in Yellowjackets, she's navigated multiple industries, multiple eras.
And the common thread seems to be this fearless embrace of complexity, of darkness, of volatility. She refused to be easily categorized, either on screen or on stage.
Her career is really a testament to the power of staying true to that unique energy, even when the industry tries to label you or box you in.
Which leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, our listeners.
We talked about Lewis's struggle with typecasting, especially after a role as definitive and controversial as Mallory Knox in Natural Born Killers. She worried about being stuck in that volatile box.
Right. But here she is, decades later, receiving her highest critical acclaim and those Emmy nominations for playing characters like Natalie in Yellowjackets or Denise in Chippendale's characters who are undeniably tough, often damaged, maybe seen as being from the wrong side of the tracks.
So the question this raises is really interesting. Considering she found this profound success by, in a way, perfecting and deepening that same unique creative energy that people tried to label or maybe limit years ago.
Does that suggest that true professional maturity, for any of us, might actually involve finally embracing, refining, and fully owning those specific, maybe unconventional traits that make up our unique signature?
Think about it. What parts of your own past experience or reputation, things you perhaps once saw as limitations or things to overcome, might actually hold the key to your most authentic and successful future path?
Something powerful to reflect on.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll get you on the next one.